Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Mobility Live 2013. We are thrilled to have you all here today, and we're very excited about this event and just thrilled about the response that we've gotten. Just want to tell you a little bit about what to expect for today. One, we've got a ton of great speakers, a great panelists, some of the most incredible content from global leaders in mobility. The good news is we didn't have to search far and wide to get that expertise, because most of it's right here in Atlanta anyway. So for those of you that have come and got up early, we appreciate it. From those of you who traveled from out of town, welcome to Atlanta. We're delighted to have you here. Another thing that you can expect is to see some really great demonstrations. In the room next door, you'll see great displays from Verizon, from AT&T with Digital Life, the connected car, and also our foundry that they've just put up in Georgia at the Georgia Tech campus. But Site Minis is over there, Merlin Mobility, a lot of great things for you to interact with and play with that are related to mobility. You know, this has been a great journey. We've stood this thing up in about 3.5 months and have just had a great response. And we couldn't have done it without a lot of great sponsors and volunteers. Great sponsors, AT&T, Verizon, Weather Channel, Airwatch, Arceti Marketing, all pulled together to give us a great event. And so we're greatly appreciative of that. But also our great volunteers. So there's been a great people around a task force that we started at the Metro Atlanta Chamber that really got around this group and made this thing happen. And we also have some good volunteers here today from Kennesaw State. So we greatly appreciate everyone's efforts. One thing, in addition to the panels that we have and the great experts and the demos, is we're actually going to be pulling in some of our corporations to meet with potential interns from the universities. A lot about what this industry does is driven by talent and by knowledge, and we need to have a great workforce and the talent around that. So we had over 118 students register to meet with our corporations about the needs so they can learn about what the workforce and the skills are needed for this industry of the future. So if you see them wandering around this afternoon, please introduce yourself, because that's really the future of this industry and the mobility industry here. So with that, I'd just like to call your attention to a couple of things. You may have a program, but we do have an app at the App Store, Mobility Live, and for Android as well. So please download that. And then please, we've got our hashtag, so Twitter, let's get some social media going so that people can really see what the buzz is around Mobility Live. This is a foundational event. We're just getting started. We can really see this thing growing and really exploding here in Atlanta and really getting a lot bigger in the future years. I can see it quadrupling in size easily in the next year. So with that, we're going to move on with the program, and it's my pleasure to introduce the first speaker of the morning, a man who knows Atlanta well, who brought a company here a while back, has started it, called Manhattan Associates, scaled it, took a little break, and then came back, I'd say, with a vengeance, and is standing up a great company called Airwatch, who's really dominating the field in mobile security and bring your own device. Company that was a mere 800 employees last year and doubling this year and plans to double again this year. He's a great leader and a great friend, and it was my pleasure to introduce Alan Dabbiere of Airwatch.
Alan Dabbiere, Chairman at Airwatch.
Turn off your mic. Okay.
Great, thank you all very much. Thank you for getting up early, getting out here to Mobility Live. It's a pleasure to be here with you. That little video didn't do this justice. Mobility is really changing the world. It is changing the way we live. If you really don't believe this, look at a 4-year-old. I've got one. I cannot pry this out of his hands. There will be a big screen TV, and he will sit there and watch on an iPod Touch his entertainment. And I think he's texting his 10-year-old sister. But these things are changing everything. You go back just a few years, we were tied to a desk. These things are changing the way we work, the way we live, the way we find our friends, the way we get into our house. It's becoming our wallet, our car key, our house key. it's your credit card. It is changing so many ways we do so many things. And the ubiquity is what's really driving it. 1 billion devices in the world, probably half of them touch an enterprise. It's not just that companies are giving you email on your devices. They are changing the way you do your jobs. Even better than that, they are changing the ways you learn to do your jobs. We are changing the way children learn. We are changing the way we find our friends, we communicate with people. In this ever-connected and broadening world, boundaries have come down. It's not about your neighbors or your neighborhoods. It's becoming about your networks and the ways you communicate. It's not about geographies. It's about interests. It's about information. It's about sharing. It's about now we can video conference. The borders are breaking down, and mobile and connectivity is driving this. It is an amazing time to be alive. These devices are like Swiss Army knives. Sure, they started with email, but now it is what the mind can conceive. I'm actually renovating a new home. I won't have a key to it. When I walk up, the door will unlock with my phone. What's the worry about that? Will I lose my phone and somebody's got a key to my house? No, because if they don't have my watch, it doesn't work. So with Samsung, you talk about wearable computing, and people haven't thought about all of the different use cases. It's not just about I can take a picture, I talk to it, it's not Dick Tracy, but it becomes a multi-factor authentication. Because as we get into 1 billion devices, as we get into changing the use case of these devices to be in your wallet and your car key and your house key and your room key and your credit cards, we need to know it's you. And of course, Apple comes out with fingerprint authentication, and of course that gets hacked in a day. Well, let's think about this for a second. If I steal your passcode, what do you do the next day? You change your passcode. When I steal your fingerprint, you got me for life. So the security of these things is becoming ever more important. And this gets back to the law of unintended consequences. These things are so powerful, and this connected world becomes so dangerous. And that's part of what we're here to talk about over the next few days. Where is mobile going? What are the things we need to be thinking about? I always love the scene in The Firm when Wilford Brimsley, the head security officer, looks in and says, I'm the guy in the room that's supposed to be nervous when nobody else in the room is nervous. There is a little bit of that here. What's happening with my child when I give them this device? Maybe I don't have as much control on the browser as I used to with my desktop. What happens with my company when I hand this device? Interesting story, one of our current customers, but prior to working with us, right after Siri came out with iOS 5, somebody picked up a phone off a desk, this was an investment banker, hit the Siri button and wrote an email using voice activation to trade 10,000 shares of stock in a customer account using Siri and voice. That's a problem if you're a regulated business. The law of unintended consequences. And as you realize there's a new mobile operating system every 15 days, this is a lot to stay on top of. This is what Mobility Live is about. A wonderful event where we get all of the mobility leadership of Atlanta and the Southeast and to some extent the country together and start talking about what is the next generation here. My personal background is that I moved to Atlanta back in 1986 for a little bit, founded a great city, moved back again in 1995, and I brought with me a company called Manhattan Associates and grew that company from 30 to 800 people in 3 years. Let me tell you, I could not have done that anywhere else in the world. Atlanta is such a great place to grow a business, but I'm going to argue I'm even more successful at Airwatch because it is even a better place to grow a mobile business. Interestingly, Manhattan Associates was a mobile business. It started out with the rolling out of those brick products, those ruggedized devices. If you think of the warehouse, I was rolling that technology out in 1990. So I've got 20 years of recognizing that mobile is death by 1,000 cuts. Every device needs to be configured and secured and supported. The end user needs to be supported. BlackBerry proved that everybody better get their email every day or they get really grumpy. And I will tell you, I am still blessed to be the IT manager of my own house. And when my wife doesn't get email, I have a really crappy night at home. I cannot give up that job somehow. But 20 years of dealing with this, and this is what led me into Airwatch. And Airwatch today is the global leader with 1,500 employees in securing and managing and supporting these devices for the enterprise. And it was only because of that background that I can be in this position today. Only because Atlanta was such a great city for me to grow a first company, to build a great place for people to work and for me to grow a great network, that I was put in the position of coming back into this city with a company with 2 people back in 2006, a company of 100 people 3 years ago, and a company of 1,500 people today. Atlanta is the city for business, but Atlanta, better yet, is the city for mobile business. Atlanta has gotten its swagger back. Back in the late 90s, when Manhattan Associates was riding high, internet security systems, the internet was coming in, Atlanta was doing great in technology. And we had a little bit of a lull in the early 2000s. But that's changing, my friends. That is changing. This city has got more startups, more things going on. This is becoming the hub of mobility. We have got the greatest educational systems in the world with Georgia Tech and Georgia State, UGA, Kennesaw State, Emory. We have got all the ingredients of these great businesses. We have this great ecosystem here in Atlanta. We have AT&T Mobility, First Data, Elevon, Pardo, CNN, Weather Channel, Cox, Delta, Coca-Cola, Home Depot, Manhattan Associates, and of course Airwatch. We have got all these ingredients here, and yet we still need to attract more. We need to put these ingredients together. We need to find ways to make Atlanta even more of a mobile city than it is today. And that's what this is all about. The most important asset we have is sitting in these seats today. It's you. We need you to come away from this and tell the story of Atlanta. Tell the story of mobile here. We need you to think about, how do we build new businesses here? How do we educate our people in this area? How do we take this tectonic shift in computing from internet to mobile, from desktop to carry with you? And how do we build these things here in this city? Just one last story. You think about how mobile is changing the world. We're working with a lot of school systems today. And Larry Ellison was said to have gotten up in front of the Stanford graduating class and he said, look, I'm a maverick. I'm not going to talk to you students. I'm going to talk to you, the professors. I've got good news and I've got bad news for you. The good news is you guys are going to be wildly famous like rock stars. You're going to be paid like the greatest sports stars. I've got the bad news, though. There's going to be one of you in every subject. We are going to learn to take the skill set of the greatest communicator of every subject and mass produce that to educate every person. And we look at what's going on in school districts around the world, not just in the United States, not just in Atlanta, but around the world. And they're saying we don't have enough great teachers. And if we can take these technologies, you think about the textbook, it's dead. I open up a textbook, a child opens up a textbook and reads it. Child opens up a textbook and reads it, and if they don't understand the material, what do? They hope someone can explain it to them, or maybe they look at the picture. But you take this technology, and if I don't understand the material, I click on the picture, and I get a multimedia learning experience from the greatest communicator of that subject in the world in my language. And it is honed to my learning style. This is the way we're going to learn in the future. It doesn't mean the schools are dead, but it means when you think of anything like a sport, you take the greatest sport, you take football or basketball, and you take 10 people on a team and you look at that greatest player. And the difference between the best and the 10th best and the 100th best and the 1000th best is huge. And the fact that the schools can start taking this technology and rolling this out and leveraging this technology to educate our students is going to be huge for our future. We're working with Intel on a project with 1 million devices in Lebanon and up to 10 million in Turkey. This is the same technology that Airwatch is using to educate our employees. We could never have gone from 100 to 1,500 without leveraging mobile and technology and video and the way we're training people. I wanted to leave you with just that one, because every industry is being changed like this, where it will be a whole new industry in 5 to 10 years. The way we educate, the way we do medicine, the way we deliver information, the way we deliver product, the way we service people in retail, the way we service people in restaurants. And Mobility Live is about pulling everybody and all of our assets in Atlanta together and to start thinking about this brave new world and this new future. So what we've got here is 475 technology executives and innovators here at this conference. We've got 77 leaders talking. I wanted to leave you with one quote. Maya Angelou had a great expression when she said, "I've learned that you should go through life you should not go through a life with a catcher's mitt on both hands. You need to be able to throw something back." We are all the leaders of Atlanta and leaders in the technology community. Think not only about what you're doing in your companies, think what you're doing to mentor young people and students and helping young businesses grow. Go out and tell people about Atlanta and what a great mobility city this is. Thank you very much. Have a great conference.